Hi, third graders. This week we are going to learn about how to find the main idea and key details of a text. So get your Ready Common Core book out and open it up to page 24. By the time we're in third grade, this isn't the first time that we've heard about the main idea of a text. So I want to know what you already know about the main idea and key details of a text. What does it mean to find the main idea? All right, so you may have come up with something that kind of goes with this picture over here that says, what's the big idea? We can get the idea of what this main idea is just by looking at the pictures. I see a tent, I see a kid doing outdoor things, s'mores, a flashlight, a tree maybe for the forest. Here's a girl, two girls doing outdoor things, maybe a porcupine, and somebody with a lantern. My guess is the main idea of this picture is camping. And that's exactly what the main idea is. What is something mostly about? And that brings us to our learning target today. Our learning target says, today I will retell the main idea and key details, which we also call supporting details, of a text to show that I am understanding what I am reading. Look over here at this table. This is a main idea table. If you want to think about the main idea as the big flat part of the table, it needs to have legs over here, which would represent the supporting details or the key details of a text to hold it up. The main idea is what it's mostly about, but the supporting details give us just a little bit more information about the main idea of a text. Remember, a lot of the reasons that we're learning these new concepts is because we want to be able to understand what we're reading. All of these strategies are ways to help us understand more about what we are reading. So let's look at the learning target on this page and follow along with me in your book. It says, retelling the main idea and key details of a text will help you understand what you've read. Again, this is a reading comprehension strategy. Okay, put your finger where it says read in the green and follow along while I read. The main idea is what a text is mostly about. Details are all the facts and ideas in a passage that support the main idea or help explain it. Sometimes you will want to retell a passage that you've read. First, make sure you know the main idea. Then figure out the key details, which are the most important facts in the passage. Read the cartoon below. What is it mostly about? Okay, before we talk about this cartoon, I want to point out some of these bold print words we have here. The first one we have is the word main idea. And again, that's what we talked about earlier. The main idea is what the text is mostly about. Usually a sentence or two that tells us what we are preparing to read or what we just read. Another one here in bold print, key details. Key details are the important facts that tell you more about the main idea. And we also use this bold print word, support, just to tell us that supporting the main idea means it explains the main idea a little bit better. So key details support the main idea. All right, let's look at this picture. Life in the American Colonies. That is the title of the pictures down here. Now I see a man here has an axe, he's chopping wood, and the sentence underneath it said, people had to chop wood for fuel. Fuel is what you need to start a fire. The second picture here has a man with a cart. He's having a horse pull it, and the text underneath it says, taking farm goods to sell in town could take hours. That sounds like it's a lot of work to get the things that they're selling to town. And then this last picture here, the text underneath it says, Everyone in the family had to work. This looks like it could be a mom and her daughter possibly, but everyone had to come together to work. Now let's look at the page next door on page 25. We're going to fill in this chart using the information from these pictures. So the first blue arrow at the top with the green word think says, use key details from the cartoon to complete the chart below. It's asking us to find the main idea. So what are these pictures mostly about? It's asking for 3 key details. Remember, these details give us more information about that main idea. So if I had to look here at this whole comic strip or cartoon as a whole, and I look at the title, it says Life in the American Colonies. I'm noticing everybody in those pictures is doing some sort of work, and that work does not look easy to me. So if I had to come up with what this cartoon is mostly about, I would come up with the main idea. Life in the colonies was not easy. So I want you to write that in your book. If you need to pause the video to write it, go ahead. Then the next part it wants us to do is find a key detail. Well, again, key details are the important pieces that tell us more about the main idea. And so if I look at this first picture here where this man is chopping wood for fuel, I would say that a key detail is people had to chop wood for fuel. I'm basically taking what they have in this first picture and putting it in words in my key detail. The second key detail I'm going to look at comes from this second picture. This gives me more information about how life in colonies was not easy. So I'm going to write in the second box, it took a long time to get to town to sell goods. And goods are items that people either make or have to sell to other people. And then my third key detail is going to come from this third picture here, where I see this lady and a little girl working. And I'm thinking that everyone in the family had to work. Because again, that tells us more about how life in the colonies was not easy. In order to make it work, in order to make life go on, everybody had to do their part. So we filled out this chart. Now you'll notice that there is a green talk prompt down here, and it says, discuss the key details you used to complete the chart. How does each detail support the main idea? Well, this is your chance to kind of think out loud. So the way I do it is, I'm looking here at the main idea, and I see that it says life in the colonies was not easy. I need to make sure that each of my details supports the idea that life wasn't easy. So let's look here at the first one. People had to chop wood for fuel. That definitely shows that life was not easy. Chopping wood is hard work. Here's my second detail. It took a long time to get to town to sell goods. Yep, that shows that life in the colonies was not easy. They had to travel to sell things. And then the third detail, everyone in the family had to work. That's right, not just one person, everybody had to do their job in order to make life work. So all 3 of those details support my main idea by giving me more information about how life in the colonies was not easy. So you might be thinking, we were able to come up with the main idea of a cartoon and the key details that support the main idea, but how do we do that with a text? Well, I want you to make sure you're on page 26 of your Ready Common Core book, because you're going to read a story today called What is a Community? And we're going to do what we call a close read with this story. A close read means to read the article more than one time, but each time you read, you have a different purpose. So the first time that we read, we just want to read the text to understand what the author wants us to know. When we're reading this first time, we also look for words that we may not know what they mean. and we're going to use what we call context clues to help figure out what those words mean. And that means looking in the sentence that the word is in, looking in the sentence before it, and looking in the sentence after it, and taking all of the information around that word to figure out what our unknown word means. The second time we read, we're going to look for the main idea of this passage. And then we're also going to look for more information about the main idea, which will be the key details. That is going to support the main idea. And the third time we read, we kind of scan through the text this time to either look for answers if we're answering questions about a text, or if we're going to write about it, which we will on this prompt or on this story, we're going to look for evidence to put into our writing. So I'm going to read the story. What is a community to you? I would like you to follow along with me as I read. Before I read, though, I like to look at pictures or any text features that might be in the story to help me figure out what this could be about. And I'm looking at the picture there, and I see a bunch of kids. It looks like they have bags. Maybe they're picking up trash. They look happy, and there's a bunch of different types of people. And I'm also noticing that they're wearing green shirts, and the word community in the title is also green. I wonder if that's related. All right, follow along with me as I read. Put your finger on the first word of paragraph 1. It says think, and follow along as I read. Think about people you saw on your way to school today. Maybe you saw a bus driver, a police officer, or a mail carrier. You probably saw business people on their way to work. Once you got to school, you saw teachers, other students, parents, and the principal. All of these people make a community. A community is a group of people who live and work in the same area. People play different parts to make a community. For example, bus drivers help people get to school or work. Police officers make sure people follow the laws and stay safe. Business people make or sell things we buy. Parents and teachers make sure children have what they need to learn and be safe. Students learn so they can become good parents and workers. You are part of your community too. You can do things to make a difference. You can help keep your neighborhood clean. You can follow rules and laws. You can help others who are in need. Communities work best when people do their jobs and help each other. You and everyone around you work together to make a community. Okay, so if you came to any words as I read that you did not understand, push pause, look back in the text and see if you can figure out what those words mean by using the context clues around the words in the story. Okay, so remember, it's always important to ask questions to yourself before, during, and after you read. So here's some to ask after reading. What is a community?
Maybe you should do the asking.
A community, that was my Siri, she wanted to answer the question. A community is a group of people who live and work in the same area. And you know how I know that? I found it in the text. It's in the part that says, in paragraph 1, it's underlined in red. A community is a group of people who live and work in the same area. Okay, the next question. How do bus drivers help their community? Well, if you look at paragraph 2, you'll see it says bus drivers help people get to school or to work. And a third question I could ask is, what is this article mostly about? This sounds like a main idea. And this article is mostly about information on communities. All right, let's now look at page 27. We're going to read at the top. It says, what is the main idea of the text and how do the key details support it? Well, we kind of already came up with the main idea when we were asking questions after we read, and that happens to be the first thing that we need to put in the chart. What is the main idea of this text? Well, the main idea is that everyone has a part to play in the community. I remember as I was reading that there were several different types of people or jobs that were mentioned in here, and all of those people make up a community. So everyone that lives in a place has a part in their community. But we need to add some key details now. We need to get specific. What parts do people play in the community? We need to come up with 3 examples. Well, I remember reading about police officers, and it says police officers make sure people follow laws. So I want to circle that in my text so that I remember where I found that answer. Another key detail in the text is going to be another type of person that plays a role in our community. And it said business people make and sell things. Well, I need to make sure that I highlight that in my text too, so I'm circling that as well. And then one more example, because it's asking for 3. I have police officers, business people, and the third one is kids. Kids can help keep a neighborhood clean. So that's a part that kids can play in the community. And again, I wanted to circle that idea in my text. All right, now that we have filled in our chart, if you have not written these down, go ahead and push pause and fill in your chart and then start the video again. You'll notice that number 2, it says talk. And what that means is, again, a time to think out loud. It says one key detail is bus drivers help people get to school or work. How does this key detail support the main idea? So I just need to make sure that bus drivers that help people get to school or work tells me more about the main idea. So I know that the main idea is everyone has a part to play in the community, and bus drivers do have a part to play in the community because they help people get to school or work. So this key detail does support the main idea by explaining what part or role bus drivers play in our community. Now you're going to do the number 3 on another page. It's called short response down here at the bottom. The directions say choose another key detail you wrote in the chart. So we already talked about the bus drivers, but you can choose from the police officers, the business people, or the kids. Choose another key detail you wrote in the chart. How does it support the main idea? Use the space provided on page 30 to write your answer. So go ahead and turn to page 30 and let's see how we're going to do this. So here's what page 30 looks like. It has the title of the story, What is a Community? And it basically restates what the directions were for the short response. Choose another key detail you wrote in the chart. How does it support the main idea? So I gave you some sentence starters here. You can start your first sentence by saying, another key detail from the chart is, and then you need to fill in the blank. And then the second sentence needs to answer this second question. This detail supports the main idea because or by, and that's where you need to tell me the detail that you picked, how does that show that that person is a part of the community? And notice up here, there is a hint. What does this detail, that means the one you picked from the chart, what does this detail say about the parts people play in a community? All right, so this is going to be something that you're going to work on by yourself. And when you're finished, I want you to turn to page 28 and 29, and I'm going to give you directions for those. So your next practice is going to be to read the story or this essay called Life in My Village. You're going to do a close read with this one also. Remember, the first read, you're going to read the story to understand what this essay is about. And an essay in this case is a personal story about a Native American community. And you can kind of get that idea from just looking at the picture. And as you read that first time, I want you to look for words that you may not know and use the context clues to help you figure out what they mean. The second time you read, I want you to read again to see what the main idea of this story is and look for key details that explain more about the main idea. The third read that you'll do is when you're going to scan the text for evidence to help you answer questions or write your short response. So after all three of those reads, you should be able to answer the questions on page 29 and then the writing prompt that is on page 31. So make sure that you are reading carefully. Make sure on the talk part, you talk out your ideas out loud because that helps us understand more about what we read. And make sure when you do your writing response that you answer all parts of the writing prompt and that you write in complete sentences and use evidence from the text. When you are finished, I want you to check your answers with the answer video in Schoology just to make sure you're on the right track. All right, boys and girls, do your best. Make sure you read carefully. Don't forget to self-check your work with the answer video in Schoology to make sure you're on the right track. I'm proud of you and keep up the great work, third graders. We'll see you next time.